Hey, welcome back to Our Life Beginnings and Always, the prologue of Step 2 that is very long and monstrous. Sorry about that last video being kind of long and abruptly ending. Anyway, I'm not going to not pick the same thing. You're lucky I didn't start screaming. Sorry for everything. I know it's late, but I didn't know what else to do. If I rang the doorbell, I knew your moms would have answered, and they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I don't want to talk about it. Well, besides with you, I mean, that's why I did that. As unexpected as this was, you were touched. Cole felt like he could tell you what was wrong. I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cole suddenly looked very cross. Dad. He was talking to my mom. Still is, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cole had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation. Da-da-da-da-da. Shouldn't have done that. Eavesdropping is bad. I would have done that too. You didn't comment on me. No, I would have done that too. Cole smirked at the agreement. I mean, you know Marina by now, right? We don't... Screw the rules. I've got money. Yeah, I don't do it a lot, but I heard them talking about me. Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened, varied. Sometimes he would go during the summer... During winter break, but usually went during summer. Oh, winter break. Yeah, that'd be a great time to go do that. Hope everyone's doing well today. I'm just recording a bunch of these in like at once, so to me it's like all the same day, so it's weird, but like for you it'll be a new day, so hope you're doing good and having fun out there. Enjoying the summer. Even though it was hard news when you found out he was leaving and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no. That's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay with us here. So mad. This man's is so mad. So mad. You waited for him to continue. He didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. I don't know when I started saying this man's either. That's just something I picked up recently. Is she gonna do that? Yeah. She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. Oh. You had heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about past memories, or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone and another to actually meet them. Very soon, you were going to see Cove's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you could only imagine how Cove felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features pained with dread. So, he's not, I think it's going to be obvious. He's not upset about his mom. Oh, we got a bunch of baseballs in this box up here, too. Did that change from the opening, or has that always been there? Is it kind of assuming I've been sporty this whole time, too? You know, or is this the same regardless of what kind of a character you play in the first one? I do like our computer also, by the way. Like... the tower must be in here, I guess, but that monitor is pretty sleek. She has a pretty nice little PC for 2011. Just saying. Glad we got our own computer, and it looks like a tablet. We don't have a phone, though, which is weird. Or is that a book? That's probably a book. That's probably like some kind of a journal or something. Sorry I got distracted by that. But, like, also this chair. This does not look comfortable. This looks like a really crappy, like, office, a cheap chair you get like an office supply store. Just looks really flat. That does not look like a chair I would enjoy sitting in. I'm not picky, but I have to have a nicer chair than that. I like my nice fancy office chairs, thank you very much. Comfortable seating for my computer. I spend a lot of time on my computer, though Marina probably doesn't, to be fair. Marina is an active person. She's probably outside at the beach surfing or swimming or hanging out with her friends. I was talking about Cove, though, and how Cove is more upset by the change in plans, which when I was a kid would have been a big deal, too. Like, I had to have plans a certain way, and when they weren't a certain way, I'd get upset. So I completely understand this. Before, they barely stayed in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're just gonna all be together again? The three of us? After all this time? Just for a few weeks? I know I should probably be happy they can talk to each other now, but I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out, and now I really feel bad for feeling this way. Yeah, I'd never been around people whose parents went through a divorce. Like, none of my family did that, or like all the adults in my life have pretty much always had solid relationships and stayed together and good marriages and stuff. I've gone through a divorce, but it wasn't anything. So I kind of understand how that feels when you do stuff like that, but I didn't have kids, and I never had to experience it as a kid. So the idea of your parents suddenly being apart after being together and then trying to reconciling like this would be weird. Again, I'm hoping I really get to find out how his parents divorced, what actually caused it at some point. But we'll see. We'll find out eventually. Marina, his fist tightened and his eyes became misty. Hey, this man's crying again already. Not just as a little kid. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already, and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad. This is hard to deal with. We can deal with this. I'm sorry, Cove. I'm here for you. Yeah, that's a lot. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad. This is hard to deal with. The tense line of Cove's shoulders eased. Thanks. That made me feel a little better, like I'm not freaking out for no reason. I'm hoping I get to hear him say thanks, and more teenage Cove say that too. I'm gonna miss thanks. Freaking thanks. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You marveled at how the day started. You'd woken up eager for summer vacation, but now things seem so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holden's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood being so rude. And as if all that wasn't enough, now Cove's mom would be living with Cove and his dad again. Your whole life was kind of like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just get better with time? I mean, is that really that bad? Is this really this serious, Marina? There's a new kid in your neighborhood that you're barely ever going to see. You got in trouble for eating some fruit, big deal. And Cove's mom. I mean, it's upsetting for Cove, but she could be cool. Hint, hint. Marina? The sound of your name, said quietly, pulled you from your thoughts. Cove's gazed at you, concerned.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. You meant it. Yeah, I'm okay. You didn't mean it. No, I'm not. I don't know. Who? Me? I'm more worried about you. Well, things are kind of bad for everyone. Who? Me? I'm more worried about you. You don't have to forget about yourself for me. I want to listen to you, too. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. He had come here, conflicted and upset, only to end up worrying about you. He really was a great friend. I think I don't want to talk about this anymore about this. He looked away, his lips thinning into a line and rubbing in his arms. But I kind of don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer, just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn him away? You can stay tonight, but we shouldn't make a habit out of this. I've got a flashlight and some cards. Are you in? Of course, you can always stay here, Cove. You wiggled your eyebrows, already excited by the prospect. She would be like a wiggle your eyebrows type person. Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing on his face. He immediately took a seat in your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. Whoa, this is way different than 8-year-old Cove who thinks my room is weird. Jerk. You felt a little better at the sight somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight. You were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you'd never want to undo. It felt totally natural to let him into your little world. That initial friendship had deepened so much over these past years, and you were just certain there was room to get even closer. Oh, you'd think that, because this is a romance game, but, you'd think that. We get even closer! Didn't mean it like this, Cove! You joined Cove in your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. You smiled gently at him, he put a hand on his shoulder, you patted his back, you hugged him, you took his hand in yours, you nudged him with your foot. You reached over and nudged him with the arch of your foot. You had no idea how to make him feel better, but you were trying. Cove blinked confused before he swatted your foot away, but his expression softened into something more natural. Conversation was stilted and broken often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get to your usual candor. As your secret hanging out session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. Keep having moments like this with him. You hoped the day would never come when life decided the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cove felt the same. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light that was streaming in through your window and warming your tan skin. Hey, our tan skin! With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple times, clearing the sleep from your eyes, before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. Yeah, our tan skin. They remember that you're tan. That's neat. I mean, obviously they would, but it's kind of cool. It's just nice to see that in there, right? You couldn't remember even falling asleep. COVID crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together, trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but you couldn't put a finger on when exactly. You wondered how late COVID stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and ready for the day, or stay snuggled up for a little while longer, until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright and gasped in surprise. He never left. He was still there. In the morning. Oh my! Cove! You laughed out loud, you jumped out of bed, you froze, you laughed out loud. Lol! He had fallen asleep while sitting on the ground and precariously leaned his head on the other side of your mattress. With your laugh, Cove's eyes snapped open and his head slipped from the source of support. He didn't stop going down until he smacked right into the floor with a crack. You clamped a hand over your mouth and looked out at it with wide eyes curled up where he'd landed rather ungracefully.
Aww.
You laughed even more. Are you okay? You helped him up. Shh, my moms are gonna hear it. Yeah, you left. Cove gave you an unappreciative look, but you couldn't help it. That was too funny. He's so mad! If either your moms found out that Cove slept here last night, the two of you would be in big trouble. Yep, big trouble number 2! Big trouble in Little Sunset Bird! Cove blinked at you a couple times, his eyes going in panic as if some thought it only he could hear it settled in his mind.
Oh my god!
I fell asleep! So, yeah, like, I've been reading for almost 2 hours, man. I'm losing it. Some of the Derek moments are longer than 2 hours. You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove's hand flew to his face, letting out a little sigh of relief when he found his glasses right where they were supposed to be. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still frazzled. It's gonna be alright. We're gonna be in so much trouble. Just calm down and settle down before our moms hear you. Before moms hear you. Settle down before moms hear you. Cove nodded, his shoulders tense as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. See, we're here to, like, not get caught. That's our goal. I'll see you later. You were confused by how all this had played out, but hoped that it was true. Yeah, see you later, Cove. At that, he glanced at you once more. The expression was placid. In all the panic, he was stopped ever so briefly by a moment of clarity. Thanks, again. You're a good friend, Marina. He firmly whispered the words, so there was no room to doubt he meant it. But he turned away from you before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he'd climbed over your bed and opened the window. A cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Man, I love the ocean. I've spent only a brief amount of time there in my life, and I would love to go back. Cove fearlessly stepped out onto the ledge. You wished him luck. You rallied him to keep going. You suggested he sneak out the door and said you urged him to hurry up. You rallied him to keep going. You got this, Cove. You weren't sure if he'd heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot right in front of the other at increasing speed until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go, trying to keep watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage and lowered himself onto the fence. From there he finally dropped to the ground. You threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran off toward his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. Oh, you could do it too, Marina, you know. You know you could. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window. Deciding there was nothing more you could do, you hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. You put on your slippers, you checked yourself in the mirror, you made your bed, you just left. Check yourself in the mirror. You certainly look like you had just woken up with your orange hair sticking up all over the place. Taking a comb from your bedside table, you attempted to fix and smooth down with some of the messy strands. This is a difference from Marina at 8 years old. Just wanted to note that. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that somehow someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked at you over immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting. That always sounds condescending when you say it like that. Good morning, Elizabeth. Like, she wants to be called that, but it sounds so condescending to me. Squinting at the greeting.
Why?
Why are you being so weird? You hadn't even done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. Your eyes flickered left and right as you sidestepped her and headed toward the kitchen. Marina. You shrugged it off. You climbed up. Wouldn't you like to know? Sorry, you excitedly blurted it out. You folded. So in our experience with this one, she has only ever told on us, and we've told on her. Wouldn't you like to know?
Duh.
I would. That's actually why I asked. You shrugged non-committally, determined not to tell her a thing. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately she rolled her eyes and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further. Our experience with Elizabeth is that... Actually, yeah, we're not close. Whatever. And then she walked straight out the front door, letting it slam shut behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with that. It's important that, to note that we're, you know, I don't know, man, that we're not as doting on Elizabeth as we were when we were 8. Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you'd gotten up. They'd left you a serving of food from the breakfast they'd made. Hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and there were a few sausage links. Took a little bit of everything. You passed on some parts because they weren't things you liked. You passed on some parts because you were trying to avoid meat. You passed on some parts because you were trying to avoid animal products. You took a little bit of everything. It was tasty. You appreciate there was variety in the meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering on the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a nice bottle of ice-cold water and taking a long drink. It was a perfect balmy summer afternoon, and it is! And you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he'd left that morning, and you couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now, or to call him to check in? You stepped out of the house, still stuck in an internal debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention.
Hi.
Hi, Marina. Confused, you looked over to where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you, a friendly smile plastered on her face. You racked your memory for where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not at your school or for the country club your moms took you to. You had absolutely no idea who this woman was. Here we go again, round 2 with stranger danger outside her house. The woman crossed the road towards you. You were a little unsure about whether you should stay put or go back into the house and lock the door. Da-da-da-da-da-da! It's the summertime glasses hippie woman with the long hair and the braids and stuff. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I've heard about you, but you have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your head, and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little more familiar. Green hair, ocean blue eyes. My son lives here, and my ex too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo from across the street from your own house. She was Cove's mom. Hey Cove, guess who I'm talking to? Your mom! You didn't know why you hadn't realized sooner, now that you'd gotten a good look at her. She seemed nice, she seemed sort of strange, she looked really young. It made sense that she was Cove's mom. She felt so different to Cove. She was super pretty. This beautiful lady was Cove's mother? Wow. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback by that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned that she was coming to you, but hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. She extended a hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled from her wrist. Oh, we gotta look at her hands. Because they can never actually do hands right. I have a theory, and this is gonna sound real bad, that a lot of these arts are AI generated. Because I don't know, maybe these are arts. I think the backgrounds are arts. Because the hands all seem like stuff AI would make. They're all always like fingers cropped weird or bunched up weird or like jump. But I had to look at her hands to see. She's just kind of holding them, which is kind of weird. But that's her. Anyway. I'm Kyra Priest. You can call me Kyra. Now, so Priest, she already went back to her maiden name, which is interesting. I mean, I guess you do that. But it's Kyra Priest, man. You shook her hand? You didn't shake her, you shook her hand. You reached out and took her hand, and she took yours firmly, grinning wide. Spoiler alert, we're gonna be best friends with this woman in this step. I'm Marina, but you already knew that.
That I do.
Cove's mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, Marina. Cove talked to you about his mom. He hadn't mentioned how he had said things to you about her. What has Cove said about me? What are you doing here? Nice to meet you too. He kept quiet. Nice to meet you too. She smiled at you fondly, her eyes twinkling at the corners. The sound of a door opening and closing caught both your attentions. When you turned around toward the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering just how tall he'd grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side for an adult anyway. Cove's height must have come from his father. And yet, somehow, I mean, I guess he's only 13, so. Let's
My baby.
get that again. There you are. I thought you were gonna keep me standing out here all day. He tried to catch Cove's eye as he walked towards you. His gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he had acted last night, you know he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. He tried to wordlessly express that you understood. See, she called Dad last night that she was coming, and then she just comes and shows up in the morning. This is Kyra Priest, ladies and gentlemen. Kyra Priest. Cove and I are heading into town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Kyra beamed and Cove ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snore she was talking about was Mr. Holden. Hey, you should come with us, Marina. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come. There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't miss. Of course, we'll run it by your parents first. Responsibility and all that. Anywhoosies! There, she said it. That's her catchphrase. Anywhoosies. She strikes me as a hippie. Free spirit. She's definitely a free spirit. I want to know what Kyra Priest does for a living. We don't really get that. It'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be roosting on the street for the time being. Anywhoosies, let's go. Kyra walked ahead towards your house, and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as he watched her.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want it to be just the two of us. Not right now. You leaned in closer and whispered while checking around for anyone who might hear. What happened? Does your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. Dad was so focused on Mom showing up that he didn't even notice. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that was something they were planning for the future. This morning when Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's gonna be here all summer. Oh. You were surprised to hear that too. So mad. Cove sighed again, even heavier. I'll go with you if you really want me to. He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little in relief. Thanks, that'd be cool. Thanks. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. They're gonna use the hell out of that front door scene that they made. Now we got Kyra Priest all framed in the front door. This woman is my personal social nightmare. She is, if she showed up, her spontaneity and just random things she does would terrify me, especially at this age. At the age I was when I was their age, I mean. But we can get a better look at her bracelets now, too. Look at this stuff. She's got, I think, 4 heal charm bracelet, 5, I guess. It's kind of cool. But Marina, on the other hand, is just like Kyra Priest. Mom answered the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the group she'd found in front of her. You realize that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cole's mom who was hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple times and looking between her and Cole, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there, I'm Pamela.
I see.
I see you've met my kid Marina, and I'm guessing you've already known Cole for a while. Kyra laughed, and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kyra Priest, Cove's mom. It's so nice to meet you. A head of purple-brown hair caught your eyes. Ma popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. This is the first time I think we're seeing Ma in this. Are we, or do we see her at the dinner? Maybe she might have seen her at the dinner. But yeah, it's very purple now, isn't it? We have company, and I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kyra. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands.
Hello.
Hi, Marina. Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly and gestured his hands toward the living. She gestured her hand toward the living room. There's news hanging around the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. I understand. You're welcome to stop by any time.
Of course.
I'll take you up on the offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if Marina went with Cove and I? My treat. We won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road. Sure, that sounds nice.
Have fun.
I hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. You were annoyed they just agreed like that. They didn't agree just like that. You were happy they were letting you go. You could tell that Cove really needed the support and you were ready to be there for him.
Marvelous.
Expect us back in an hour or two. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. I can't do too many female voices, I'm sorry. I know, it's terrible. My vocal cords stuck. I can't really do that many voices for these. Your parents waved goodbye to the three of you as you backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you as they shut the front door. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi, not too far from here. Yeah, there's a lot of them around. The answer was straightforward and the tone was curt. Cove was usually more lighthearted than that. Kyra put her hands on her hips and smiled at her son.
Well.
You sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Not really. Kyra pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Marina? Want to point me in the right direction? You shrugged. Not really? Sure, I have a couple favorites. You nodded. Sure, I have a couple favorites. You'd been to a lot of places in town, and there were a couple that stood out from all the rest. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick it up for us, since Cove is going through a phase over there. He huffed at her and turned his face away. So, I mean, my friend went to the tropical themed place, and that's cool and all. I think she didn't, like, pick, though. I think she did, like, made Cove decide or whatever. But Marina would want to go there, too, because that would be her favorite.
Thank you.
Marina, will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group, as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the three of you left the neighborhood behind. Oh hey, it's the grocery store. We do see it here. I think this is the first time we see it if we hadn't run away to here. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kyra asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kyra explained that she lived in a large city, and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed to Sunset Bird. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. This is so charming. So fucking charming. I want this restaurant. I went to California and I didn't get to eat at too many local restaurants. I really wish I had. I went to some small beach towns to try to find stuff like this, and I never did. This, though, is really fucking charming. Kyra lowered herself into the chair while Cove picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her, or to her side. It was awkward. Ahem. Let's see to start. What would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda.
Noted.
Marina. So get to pick what we like to drink. So here's the thing, we're not a little kid anymore, and we like that hydration. Lemon or anything? There's sugar on the table. Lemon. Sure. Kyra placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. So yeah, there's a change in Marina's personality a little bit for you. Just, you know, we're doing all that active stuff now, and she stays hydrated. Kyra placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. I think I just read that, but I forgot. You took a long sip of your drink, and you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked in over the menus, deciding what to order. The last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Kyra and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals too were ordered and the menus taken away. You glanced at the table surface, wanting to figure out what to say. So she'd probably have ordered fish or something. Cove sunk back further into his seat and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like this was all perfectly normal. Geez, I have plans in half an hour. I didn't expect this to go on this long. Jeez, I was like, I've got 2 hours, it's plenty of recording time. 2 hours later. His sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions, he'd brush off Kyra he'd brush off. Kyra had mercy on... Instead of asking more open questions, he'd brush off. Kyra had mercy on her son instead and put her focus toward you.
So?
Marina, what's a few things that you're into? There's got to be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. So this is where we get to choose our personality and our interests. I like to read, I like to watch, games are fun, I like to play. I hang out with people, I go to the beach, and I'm into sports like music, I spend time on art, I write things, I'll still spend time studying. Fashion, I'm really into Cove. I go to the beach and go surfing. Oh, do you and Cove surf together? Kyra looked at Cove expectantly, who mumbled something non-committally and looked away again. Swim. You must be a strong swimmer since you live so close to the ocean. I find the water a little scary, but I like to dip my toes in sometimes. We'd probably look for seashells still, too. We'd probably still do that. That's probably not something we've grown up out of. I keep the best ones I find for my collection. I'm sure it's an incredible collection. And I am into sports, like... Type in your own sport to play. All of them generally. That makes sense. I bet there's a lot of that on the beach near here. This is too bougie. This is Lizzie's thing. So I thought long and hard about this, if she was gonna be into golf, like her sister. But she spends all the time at that country club. But I don't think she's very good at golf. Type in the sport you play. Please don't capitalize or pluralize the word. Example, baseball. Well, I mean, baseball is one thing, but, I mean, softball, right, is different than baseball. I play softball. It's great. Okay. I'm debating on golf. I like that they're different colors. I don't think she'd be basketball. I don't think she'd be really into that. She likes outdoor stuff. Basketball's always kind of indoor, unless you're playing on like a court or whatever. Yeah, I just thought of something else too. Soccer. She'd also play soccer, but we'll get to that. But I can't do that, so we'll just go and I hang out with people. Hey, it's nice to have friends and family to spend time with. And what else? Do we do anything else? Maybe music. Probably music, right? Probably music. She still likes to read. I think she would still read some. Fiction novels. Ooh, you can have manga. Comic books, manga, magazines, non-fiction books, poetry. No, fiction novels. Me too. Nothing beats curling up with a good book. And just that. Just that, though. I don't think she's into manga. I would be into, you know, I would have loved to have been into manga at that age. But I read a lot of fiction. When I was in grade school and middle school, I read a lot of the classics, and then I got into reading like science fiction, fantasy, and that's what I still read today. But these days, I like mystery novels the best. I think it's kind of what I'm really into, if I'm honest. Mystery novels and like thrillers and stuff. Maybe horror, but I haven't read a lot of horror. Just finished The House of Leaves, which is a great thriller, psychological fantasy, fiction, psychological horror kind of thing. Music, I don't play. I listen to a lot of it. She doesn't play anything. She's not musical. I have an MP3 player at home that my mom helped me put some music on, and I've seen some concerts. Awesome. And I think that's pretty much it. We're too busy for stuff like video games or television. We're out and about doing things all the time.
Thanks.
I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. So what exactly did Cove say about me? Kyra laughed, holding a hand in front of her mouth. I can't tell you that. I didn't come all this way to embarrass my son too much. Kids are delicate at this age. She laughed again, and you glanced at Cove to see his reaction. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask Kyra a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? Oh, she does tell you this. Okay, I wanted to know this. I'm a travel writer for magazines and stuff. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. Oh, yeah, okay, that's right. She's a writer. She's a magazine author, article writer. Probably, maybe, actually, she might do, like, internet magazines and stuff. Wow. What do you like to do? Where do you live normally? Are you in a new relationship now? Oh my god! She wouldn't ask this out of respect for Cove, but oh my god, am I really freaking curious. Wow, what do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. A real shock, huh? Yeah, I can't in good faith ask that, but oh my god, that's an option. I'm sure she wouldn't answer it either. Where do you live normally? Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. I have. I've been to the desert, to Area 51. I love Nevada, but I think the impression you get later is that she lives in like Reno or something, somewhere more northern. I don't think she lives in Vegas. I originally thought she lived in Vegas, so she lives in a big city in Nevada. I think she lives in Reno. I think she lives in northern Nevada. Just judging from a moment that happens later in the game. That's my guess about where Kyra Priest lives. Because there's only really the two big cities in Nevada that I'm aware of. Well, oh, there's no, that's Utah. That's Salt Lake City. I think there may be another one, but mostly I just think of Reno and Vegas as the biggest cities. You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. No, we're not gonna ask those things. She's not interested in this, and this is way too personal. It's a different color now, too. Couldn't bring yourself to ask another question. It hadn't seemed to bother that the conversation dropped off. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. You made a silly face at him, you smiled at him, you gave him a sympathetic look. You flicked his straw wrapper at him. The wrapper hit Cove in the nose and you had to bite down on your lip to keep him laughing. So people do that to me all the time. Like, people I'm eating lunch with, like friends and such, do that to me all the time. And my ex used to blow straw wrappers at me all the time. Yeah, it's just kind of like a thing people do, right? Just teasing kind of thing. It took a couple moments, but finally he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little lighter inside.
Very cute.
You two seem really cute together. Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat. Now I would be embarrassed.
Seriously?
Mom, why would you say that? You felt bothered too. Thanks, we are cute, you just laughed. You felt bothered too. Just saying. Bet you didn't see that coming. It was true that you and Cove were close, but she's his mom. She shouldn't be saying things like that about him and his friend. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious. Even Cove enjoyed his food.
Okay.
Alright, now that we're all full and content, can you explain, please, why you've had a bug up your butt all day? Cove's face scrunched at that. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward, to not miss anything, eyebrows raised. Told you what? He seemed to finally find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. That I wasn't gonna visit you this year, that you were gonna be coming instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me here with you? Cove's eyes began to shake and his frustration ebbed. I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it'd be like this. It's not the same. And nobody said anything.
I see.
Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands around the table. We both been gifted another Clifford surprise. Da-da-da-da-da! This is the plan of Cove's dad. Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused both you and Cove to crack a smile. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Or 5 years nobody ever called him Clifford until now. Yep. Nobody's name is Cliff, I'm sorry. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips closed tightly together. He seriously pondered the option.
I mean...
I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. My heart. She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wriggle away. She's such a loving mom. This is the thing. They certainly didn't divorce over Cove, right? My theory about their divorce is that she a hoe. She does all this travel writing stuff, right? Maybe she's just too busy and traveling all the time and not home. But I get the feeling that she a hoe. As much as I like Kyra. Mom, stop! I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooched for their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. Kyra was completely enthused by Cove's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice and the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad, too?
No!
I love that. No! Cove had snapped the word instantly, but he reeled his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later, not today.
It's alright.
I understand, we can shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. Why is it abbreviated instead of being written out? I feel like in this case it should be written out, right? She grinned affectionately at him before turning your way. And thank you, Marina. Huh, what did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's hard to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. Mom! She just ruffled his hair with a laugh and then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. So that's like implying that Cove likes you, right? I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out, because my friend was doing crush at this stage, not fond. So we'll be seeing how it is when you're just friends with Cove. But I'm curious how if Cove has the same kind of reactions to me in some of these moments, that even though I'm not going to have that kind of reaction to him. When the three of you left the restaurant and Kyra had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much by that time, you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. But eventually you reached your street. Someone was there to greet you upon arrival. I've seen this man shirtless. Welcome back, family, and Marina too.
Huh.
Cliff. Dad. The two walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer's heat, their shoulders were cold. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? He gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back, far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Marina. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you'd imagine it would, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kyra in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also both your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. And finally, we are done with that. We're not done with me talking yet, though. We've got more moments here. So, yeah, crazy stuff happens here. We get Cove's mom, we got this Dirk Jeremy, we got her cousin Lee. Oh man, it's been a long one, and I've been reading for like hours here. But we've got wave, growing, family, dinner, road trip, mall, birthday, summer work, escapade, and soiree, which is going to be again the last one that we do. I remember most of these, what they're about. This one I'm excited about. Oh my god, am I excited about this, because we've expressed that Marina likes to go surfing. So I should get to see the moment for once. And this is my all-time favorite moment in the entire game so far that I've seen. I haven't seen all of Step 3 or 4 or anything like that, but oh my god, this is my all-time favorite moment in the whole game. And I remember what most of the rest of these are about. I don't remember family. I don't really remember. I kind of remember summer work. And we've also got, as a bonus, thank you for purchasing Derek's DLC. Now you can place 5 new moments you encounter around Derek. He also has a special epilogue at Step 4. To unlock it, you need to fill these conditions. Play all 5 of Derek DLC moments. Completing a soiree with Cove or by going alone is alright, so long as you finish the moment. Choose to remain in touch with Derek during Step 3. Then you will have the option to play Derek's epilogue during Step 4. You can only have 1 epilogue per playthrough. You can save the epilogue section by playing page to reload there and pick another later. Derek's DLC can be a friendship or a romance story. Yeah, so we're not gonna do soiree with Derek. I'm still gonna probably do the soiree with Cole. You know what? I might flip a coin. You'll see. We've got responsible, lemonade, siblings, and boardwalk. I remember kind of what all these are about. I don't remember what siblings is actually about. I remember what these are about. I'm gonna again do what I did before. Instead of a D10 though, I'm gonna have to roll like a D20. Maybe a D12? And there's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, so I can't quite do that right. A soiree. So I might have to roll a D20 for these. And determine which ones we're doing in which order. Because I'm not going to necessarily mix them up. I know these are dreadfully long, all of them, but you know. But that's enough out of me. These have been like 2-hour-long videos for all this. Hope you've enjoyed and you're looking forward to more summer with me and our buddies here in Sunset Bird. We'll see you next time.